Today we're gonna make a pear upside down cake. The cake is delicate and moist and spiced with cardamom and cinnamon and a little clove. And it's got pears right in the batter and in a nice brown sugar caramel on the bottom / top. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button below and click the bell icon to be notified every time I post a new and delicious recipe. First step is to prepare our pears. So our pears are gonna go under, so it's gonna go in the bottom of the pan, and then also the rest is gonna get folded in. So you wanna go ahead and do that first, right? So we're gonna go ahead and peel our pears. Doesn't really matter what kind of pears you choose, to be honest. Choose whatever pears you want. D'Anjou are really nice, obviously Bosc are good, Bartlett, all of those. Next step, we are going to slice our pears. You can do whatever you want here. You can slice them a different way than me. You don't have to do it this way, but I want a nice kind of like fan shape for my pears in the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut them in half, flip them all down like so, and then we're gonna cut out the center. So I'm gonna cut each half in half, and then I am going to slice out the core piece, okay? And now, I'm gonna slice very thin, this crossways. I'm gonna slice thin so that I can, create a fan. But essentially, I'm just slicing thin slices all the way down. Okay, we finally done it. Wow. Now, we have sliced our pears, and we're just gonna set those aside. Will they brown a little bit? Yes. Do we care? No. Set them aside. Now we're gonna prepare our pan. So, step one, you've seen me do this 1,000 times, right? I'm gonna trace the outside of my pan on my parchment, cut inside the Sharpie, one, because we traced it on the outside of the pan and we want it to fit inside the pan, and two, because Sharpie tastes terrible and is not edible. So just go ahead and, cut, cut, cut. Alrighty. Go ahead and give your pan a little spray. And then place your parchment circle in the bottom of the pan. And then set it aside. Get yourself a baby pot. You're like, what are we doing now? We are making a brown sugar caramel that's gonna go in the bottom of our pot. Yes, I know. So what we've got here is butter. Put that in there. And then we're gonna go ahead and pop it over here and we're gonna melt it. Now I like to cut my pears before I do the caramel because I like to press the pears into the caramel and it sets pretty fast. So, you wanna make sure that you kind of have all of that ready. If you forget, then it's no big deal and the pears will everything will be just fine. All right, so our butter is just melted. It's really, nothing special about that. And then we're gonna add all of our brown sugar. This is dark brown, you can use light brown. Cinnamon, yum, and lemon juice. Yep, get that in there. We're gonna mix that in together, and we're gonna put that back over the heat. It's gonna create kind of like a paste, if you will. So just go ahead and pop that back on the heat, kind of medium. See how it's nice and bubbly, but it's still liquid, and it's kind of like, it's bubbling in the center, and it's nice and silky smooth. So she's done. And we're gonna take her and put her in here. And then go ahead and give it a spread out. Now, it's not actual caramel, right? This is more like a brown sugar, sauce, if you will. It's just, it starts to caramelize when you're baking it, and so it's kind of like a caramel in a way. Go ahead and give it. And now we are going to arrange our pears. So I am going to put them, I think I'm gonna spread them out like that. So all I did was just kind of press it with the the meaty part, heel of my hand, to get a nice little spread. And then I'm gonna grab myself a little offset, and I'm gonna flip them upside down, right? And I'm gonna, kind of make them into little, little swooshes, if you will. Be careful because the caramel on the bottom is actually really hot, and it will burn you. Fun fact. So I like to, so again, like I said, I like that caramel to be a little, you know, I don't want it to be totally set because it will actually keep the pears in place when it bakes. Otherwise, if they might just like decide they want to be a part of the batter, and then you will end up with not an upside down cake and just like a pear cake, which will be delicious, but not what you intended. So just be aware. All right, and then last one, best one, right here. There's our cake. She is ready for her batter. These, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna put the rest of these in the actual cake. So go ahead and just make them a little smaller, just kind of give them an extra little chop in the center. Nothing excessive needs to happen here. Just make them bite-sized, right? Like that. And now we're ready to make our cake. So we've got a lot going on here on the counter, right? We are gonna do the creaming method, but first we are going to whisk together our dry ingredients. I have cake flour and baking soda, baking powder, cinnamon, clove, cardamom. Now I grind my own cardamom because I like it has a different taste when it's fresh, and then kosher salt. Boop. And we're gonna whisk those together. Now, this is cake flour, so I am going to sift it. And I'm just gonna go ahead and get this in here. I do like to whisk together because there's a lot of spices, a lot of ingredients, so I wanna make sure that it's evenly distributed because all this is doing is really just kind of breaking up any clumps that are in the cake flour, and you know, it's not really distributing your spices or anything, so. And now we're finally ready to mix our cake. I know, you're like, what? This is an ordeal. It's not, I promise, it's so good. All right, a bowl, perhaps. In the bowl of a stand mixer, we are gonna mix our butter, and let me just see if this is temp or not. I could use a twirl about. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get this in here, and then I'm just gonna give it a twirl about because my butter is, some of it's temperature, some of it's not. No, so I'm just gonna give it a moment to its moment alone in the mixer, if you will. I'm gonna add my light brown sugar, and I'm gonna cream that. I seem to have a butter piece stuck to my panel, so I'm just gonna get that off. Now this is a lot of brown sugar in relation to the butter. It's not going to be light and fluffy like you might expect for, you know, granulated sugar. You're still waiting for it to do the same thing when we're using granulated sugar. You're still looking for it to kind of, it creates like a paste and then it kind of separates from the paste. So it's getting there. It's starting to kind of, you know, separate into its own pieces and not just be one chunk of paste. Scrape. We are not making a pound cake, so we do want this to be light. You want to get some trapped air in there. All right, so you can see how it's, you know, pulled away from the sides of the bowl. It's not, you know, one cohesive mass. And now we're going to start. Hello, mixer. Good morning. We're going to start adding our eggs, one at a time. Really beat it in there really well. Next, we're gonna add our vanilla. She pretty. All right, now we're ready to start adding our buttermilk alternately with our cake flour mixture. So I'm gonna turn that on low, and I'm gonna start and just kind of go back and forth. I don't ever really let it, you know, fully mix in to keep it from over mixing. You don't want any tunneling or tough cake situations. Whoops. Oops. All right. Look at that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish mixing this batter by hand. It's almost incorporated. we just want to, there's a couple streaks of flour, there's some on the paddle, so we just want to go ahead and just scrape that off. All right, give it a nice fold. This also gives you that opportunity to get the whatever sugar has decided to be on the bottom, because there's always some down there. We know it. And then so you've got yourself a beautiful batter, and you're gonna add your pears. Waste not, want not. And give those a fold in. Give your batter a taste. Ooh, that good. Yes. It's the chef's prerogative right there. And then we're gonna just dollop it on top of our pears, which are actually, you know, very securely placed in their caramel, so they're not gonna go anywhere. Okay. Lovely. And then we're gonna take our little offset, which we so conveniently have, and we're gonna spread that out. Ta-da! And now we're ready to bake. So I've got my oven preheated at 350, and I'm ready to pop this baby in there. It's gonna take, this is a thick cake, okay? She fat. We're happy about that, but it's gonna take a minute to bake. So I'm gonna start checking around 30 minutes, give it a rotate, kind of make sure, see where she's at. I'm guessing it's gonna take close to 45, but you always wanna keep an eye on them and make sure no dry cakes here. And she's out. Yes, look at this beauty. She baked 45 minutes. And then just, you want to make sure you see the edges pulling away. This cake, you know, if underdone, will sink in the center. It'll also sink if you kind of like move it too hard in the oven. But, you know, so you just want to go ahead and pop that in and pull it out and make sure that there's, you know, it's clean. And you also can touch the outside and make sure that it feels, you know, solid and structural. So we're gonna let this cool completely. I know, dear. And then we're gonna turn it out onto our favorite cake stand. So find your favorite cake stand. And we're back. So we are ready to unmold. So it is cool completely. And it's gonna take several hours. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and run a offset around the outside, make sure that it's, you know, unstuck. Sometimes the caramel can stick. And then I am going to, I can't decide. I think I'm gonna just turn it directly onto my cake plate. Yes, I am. And then she's gonna come out because I said so. What is wrong with you, cake? I have a feeling that the caramel on the bottom has made its way under, but we have parchment down there, so I'm not stressed. I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure that it's, you know, freed. This is a bad day for me in that stove. But look at this beautiful cake. I am gonna do a little doctoring. There was like a tiny corner here that decided it wanted to stay in the pan. Oh, I see. This was the issue with our cake pan removal, was this little corner of caramel that just decided to adhere. And put it back where it goes. It's time to try. Pretty stoked. All right. Whew. Let's cut into this. Actually, I'm gonna use a sharper knife. Look at that cake. I'm ready. Are you ready? All right. Oh, wow, this is beautiful. Wow. You taste the pear and the cinnamon, like the sugar and the brown sugar caramel that's on the bottom, and then the cake is so delicate and tender and moist. And you get like the wafts of the cardamom and a little bit of clove and cinnamon. It's just like spiced pear, caramel goodness. Oh dear. So good. Oh, perfect. It's amazing on its own, or you could serve it with a little bit of creme anglaise, or even just a little whipped cream, or, I mean, which may or may not be what I'm gonna do, a mountain of vanilla bean ice cream. A mountain, a positive mountain, just saying, just suggestions. You do you though. One more. Wow. Very happy, if you will. No. Oh. Maybe I should turn my stove off. I don't know. Just a thought. Oh! She fell! Oh, the intro. I'm sorry, that cake was so good. I just like forgot what I was doing.